Alrighty, everybody. Hey, this is Greg Town here with GT Training Systems. Want to welcome you to today's webinar. We are now at the top of the hour, so as long as technology is working with us, we're going to be recording this and uploading this into like our YouTube channels and some of our other social medias and stuff. But I wish to first off welcome you to today's training and stuff. It is I very much respect and I honor your time, and my intent is to deliver as much value as I possibly can in the next hour and so. I just want to talk about a little bit about today's sponsor, GT Training Systems. We are a premier training company that works a lot with professional individuals that have to not only be absolutely at the top of their game and skilled at the service that they provide their customers, but they're also responsible for their own marketing and lead generating and attracting their own customers and stuff. So we actually help patch in the business training that so few people actually get and receive they need to take their business to the next level. So with that, I want to welcome you guys to today's training and stuff. I want to give you structure for today's training. I want to give you a quick introduction of myself. I recognize about half of the names on the registry list there. The other half I don't recognize. So for those of you that shared today's training and shared the link for today's training, I definitely appreciate and thank you for that. Or if you came into us through some of our marketing and stuff, welcome to your first training and stuff with us. I'm going to give you a brief introduction about myself. I find myself so often when I'm on the other side of the screen or in the, as an attendee and stuff, there's a segment that always kind of wonders like, okay, what the person that's giving the presentation, what's their background? I mean, I want to know a little bit about them and stuff because it's kind of funny. It's like right now I'm in the training studios. I've got the laptop in front of me, the microphone off to the side of me, and a bottle of water in front of me and stuff. So then we're going to go right into our in-depth training on John Maxwell's books, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. We're going to kind of go right into helping you develop your growth plan, whether that be for your personal life or your professional life. I mean, the really cool thing is within this book is, the trainings in this applies into both arenas. I'm going to introduce you to an upcoming mastermind. Now, for those of you that are stressed, that are concerned about any pressure or anything like that, so I want to let you know right off the bat, I am like the no pressure guy. For some of you that may some of you may recognize my name here in Western Washington, out in Tacoma, Seattle, Washington area. You may recognize me for, the real estate team that I also run. And it's very funny because in the world of real estate, we've all, and I'm pretty sure real estate is like very similar to other industries. We'll all go through trainings where we go into the trainings expecting to get really great quality level training. And literally we spend anywhere from 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour and a half of what I refer to as the dangling the carrot philosophy, where they keep, you keep feeling that you're within reach of actually learning something, but that carrot that's being dangled in front of you just keeps getting moved further and further away and stuff. And finally get to the end, and all of a sudden it turns into, now if you want to learn, if you want to learn everything there was, everything that that we just presented on, it'll be $5,000, and you have to fly down to Los Angeles or Vegas or Orlando or wherever and stuff. I want to tell you, I am not like that. My attitude is I want to give you top level content. I want to give you top level training. And my hope is when you sit there and go, I'm ready for more, I'm ready to take my business to the next level, you'll look at the quality of training that you've already received from us, and we'll be one of your first picks or your top choice right off the bat as far as to helping you get the training to take your business to the next level. And then we'll finish it up with question and answers. I will stay online here to answer any and all questions as in-depth as I possibly can. This is now the second time that we've officially used this software and stuff to run our webinars and stuff. So there should be like a little chat box or something like that. Just feel free to dump the questions right off into there and stuff. Right now I can't even see it, which actually works better because even on our old software and stuff, I'd always minimize that out because I'd get a little ADD if I saw a question popped up. And, I just want to stay on track within the slides, and then I'll go back and we'll answer all questions in depth. And I mean, these questions could be anything as far as business development, lead generation, prospecting. As some of you may know, I'm very big in health and wellness, and I definitely look at the aspect of your energy level, how you protect and increase your energy level increases to will definitely increasing your income level and stuff. And if you have a question that I don't know the answer to, hey, between you and I, we'll figure out who to get a hold of, who to reach out to get you the answers to those questions. So within that, the only other thing that I would recommend is, with every training out there, I know that we live in a world where there's a lot of distractions around us. I've already gone through and done and silenced my cell phone. And I always highly recommend that everybody do the same thing. Really just give yourself to kind of just stay engaged into, with what we're doing here for the next 60 minutes or so. And, allow yourself the opportunity, the freedom to basically say, okay, I'm going to unplug from the rest of the world. I'm going to get really focused into what I'm going to get really intentional in learning on this aspect. And then, once we get done, we'll get wrapped up and done with this. Then I'll get back to dealing with whatever the phone calls were, whatever the emails were. So, I mean, I would highly recommend you minimize out other windows or, shut down the social media for the next, 60 minutes or so. And really just kind of, do whatever you can to cut out or minimize those distractions. The other thing I would recommend, get out a pad of paper, take some great notes because, write fast, listen fast because I talk fast. And as always, as long as technology is working with us today, and it worked with us the other day and stuff, we're recording the session, and these will be uploaded into our YouTube channel, into some of our other social media aspects. Probably by the end of the day, or maybe, no later than the end of tomorrow and stuff. So with that, share with you a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Greg Town. I've been running actually a training company for several years. We actually first started off specializing purely just within the real estate industry. And then a handful of years ago, we actually spread into, basically the realization of how a realtor goes out and markets and lead generates is the exact same way as any professional service person does. We just call it different things and stuff. So for a handful of years, we started working with other industries and other entities and stuff, and purely stayed in that sales and marketing, space. And ironically, I've always known of John Maxwell. And for those of you that don't know John Maxwell, I recommend you go to your local bookstore, go to the leadership section. What you will discover is John Maxwell doesn't just have a couple of books on leadership. He doesn't even have just a shelf on, leadership. He will have his own section within leadership. And anytime I had a leadership, question pop up with either within my own team or with somebody that I was working with, coaching, working with directly, I would always reach to one of several different John Maxwell books. And so earlier this year, the John Maxwell team and I started communicating on what it would look like for us to join forces. And very proud to announce a couple of months ago that we actually officially joined forces to basically offer not only just all of our sales and marketing training material, but to also be able to offer the leadership training material offered through the John Maxwell team. So as I already shared with you, as some of you know, you may recognize my name within the real estate world and stuff. It is through the types of trainings that I implement within my own team and that I help train with other people and stuff, actually helped me be awarded as one of the top 10 real estate brokers in Washington State for the year 2016 by the American Association of Real Estate Professionals. I'm also the published author of the book, Becoming the Friend in the Business. And that has led me into being a speaker, trainer, consultant, or coach for several industries, including the very obvious real estate, but also into the legal industry, financial. I was actually speaking yesterday at a educational symposium for a whole bunch of attorneys and CPAs yesterday. The financial services, dental, insurance, all dealing with business leadership development and sales training. The thing I really want you to see and understand is the thing that I'm not just a trainer. I'm right there right alongside with you. I'm a small business owner. I'm a local business owner, and I'm right there with you in the trenches, working right alongside with you. So as I always tell people, the cool thing is unlike other trainers where I may hear something or I may see something or I may think of something, I go, wow, that sounds like a really great idea. Why don't we write a training about it and we'll test it out with our customers and stuff. We actually will take that in, work with it within our own team. We test market it and we tweak it out and we work on perfecting it. Then we take it to our training company. And then that aspect is what we share it that with. And, for those of us that we're working directly and helping them build their business and taking their business to the next level. So anytime you hear me kind of that pause and stuff, I'm just grabbing a quick swig of water and stuff. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth written by John Maxwell. Right now, you should see pretty much all, excuse me, all 15 laws. And as much as I wish that I could go in depth with every single one of these 15 laws, and to keep this training inside of an hour, I would not be able to do that. The only way I could do that is if I talked really, really fast and you jumped on the replay and you figured out how to slow down the replay and you figured out how to really slow it down to catch all my words and stuff. But what I do want to do is kind of go through and hit every single one of these laws and talk to you about some of the highlights and some of the, some of the big, aspects that I've seen within the books, within the trainings of this law. So this will be kind of like for lack of a better word, the equivalent of the Cliff Notes version of this particular book. So with that, let's jump first and foremost into the law of intention. And within the law of intention, I want you to understand that growth doesn't just happen. Now, I want you to think. Now, I want you to notice, take into effect here, as we're kind of going through all these different laws here, you're going to discover that you're going to help build your own, what I call, growth plan. And so I want you for a moment to think in your life as far as where's something that may not be quite where you want it to be at yet. I mean, that can be either be personally or professionally, or it can be a combination of the two. As I look through this and stuff here, and I mean, and we all have these aspects here. And normally you can kind of look through here and say, hey, there is something in here. There's one of these gaps that is the reason that, the reason that I'm, I'm not hitting what what I thought I was intending to grow to. Right here, right off the bat, I see it's like one of the big ones we see is the mistake gap. And there's a training concept as far as, jump out of the nest, develop your wings on the way down. If you're going to fail fast, fail first, get it over with. And the aspect with the training aspect within that aspect, the training aspect within there is a lot of times just getting yourself in motion, getting your business life or your personal life, whatever you wish to take on, getting that in motion, and then figuring it, sometimes it requires figuring it out along the way. So often, I mean, I see people, it's like, the perfection gap is, I mean, they have to, I mean, see where that comes into play quite a bit is, people at the perfection gap, they want to have it perfect. They want to have it right. And the tough thing is some, a lot of times it's just sometimes just, the first step is just absolutely getting things first stepped into motion. And then we can tweak it along the way and stuff, and we can make it perfect. It's like I tell people, share a story that I heard from John Maxwell about how he had somebody come up and say, John's written over 90 books. I don't forget the exact amount, but I know it's 90 plus. He was at a conference one time. Somebody came up and they said, hey, I have all your books, including your first one. And John, all he could do was look and go, I'm so sorry you have that book. I thought only my mom bought that book. And the funny thing is, I'm right now working on my second book, and I tell everybody should write a book because it forces you to learn so much. I mean, it's something that I thought I knew a lot about, but it forced me to really get in depth and really learn about how to run a relationship style business. And I'm now, I'm very glad it's published. I'm very happy it's published. But I mean, and we're working on the second one, but man, I learned so much about how to write a book off of the first one that there's almost a side of me. It's like, there's side of me. It's like, man, I can't wait till I get my second book out there, because then hopefully, it's like, I look at my first book, it's like, it was anywhere far from being perfect, but it was just purely getting it out there is what got me into the action, to be able to get the second one started and stuff. So next is the law of awareness. You must know yourself to grow yourself. And in this law, what we discovered is there's ultimately 3 different kinds of people. And as you read through this list, you probably either relate really more closely to one than the other 2, or you'll be able to look at one and say, okay, that's me right there. And so let's talk about these three kinds of people and stuff. The first is people who don't know what they would like to do. Now, sometimes some people say, oh, well, that's the millennial generation, or that's the whatever the generation is before the millennials. That's going to be, the people in high school, the people in college. They don't know what they want to do yet. Well, I see this actually come across just about every single age bracket. And if you think about it, how many of, I mean, I only have one friend that in high school, he said in high school what he wanted to do for the rest of his life, and that was to be a school teacher. And now at 50 plus years of age, he is still very happy as a school teacher. That's only one person that I know that's ever done that. I mean, it is, if you look at statistically, as we, how many different industries and how many different professions somebody has as an adult. And I mean, it's, I think what it is as we get to a certain level, we get to certain aspects or, kind of, forget what book it is, but we put our ladder up against a certain wall and we get far enough up and we realize that's not the wall we want to be going up, or that's not the ladder we want to be going up. So we start looking at, well, where do we want to go to? And so then, the other aspect is people who know what they would like to do, but don't do it. That one right there, that scares me the most because in my personal opinion, I think that's where depression hangs out at. That is where, people will either slowly start to die a little bit inside until one of two things happen. Either one, the pain gets bad enough or something jolts them out of that and they get out of the particular situation or they get out of doing what they don't want to do and they start going back into, and they either start going after what they want to do or they go into they don't want to do, but they go into that discovery mode. Or unfortunately, they just continue to die a little bit more each inside each day until they're finally, the inside of the body is caught up with the outside of the body. I know that's not a pleasant thing to start out with on a Thursday morning and stuff, but my attitude is my intention here is to come at you and be real. I mean, for me to be all flowery, it's not serving you the best thing as a speaker, as a trainer, as a coach. And then the final aspect is people who know what they would like to do and they do it. Now, for me, this is where I feel that I personally spend 9 times out of 10, 9+ times out of 10 in the course of my day. I was actually, I was talking with some people and stuff, and they get amazed at kind of my energy level and, my quote, what they call my work ethic. And I told them, it's like, for the most part, most days, I truly don't feel what I do is work. And so, I mean, when you wake up and what you do for a living, what you do as a vocation, no longer feels like work. You really go at it with entirely different type of attitude, a different type of pizzazz, for lack of a better word and stuff. So, I mean, I really want you to kind of look at this and see is like, if there's one that you feel that you're 100% spot on, great. If there's one that you're feeling that you're closer to than the other two, great. And then the key aspect of if you're one of those certain areas, whether it's you don't know what you would like to do or you know what you want to do, but you don't do it. If you don't want to be in one of those two areas, how do you get to another area? And most people I know, my assumption is, if you're doing if you know what you would like to do and you do it, most people I know, they don't want to leave that particular aspect and stuff. So the law of the mirror. Now, if you're on this training, more than likely you're a business leader, a business developer, you're an influencer or something of that aspect, because I mean, it is really, that's kind of that's our target clientele that we work with within our training company. And if you came in through us through some of our social media advertising and stuff, well, social media is so insanely wonderful that I could really dial in the demographics. So, I mean, if you saw that messages, it basically meant that there was indicators that, that you're either an industry leader, a trendsetter, you're somebody in a leadership, or you're definitely a person of influence. And the law of the mirror, what we discover is that, you must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. And then what really turns into is what I've discovered with this is the higher the value that I see in myself, the higher the value I'm able to provide to my customers and to my clientele. So how do you build value into yourself? Well, you really got into steps into building your self-image. And I mean, this all starts in with guarding against yourself. And that's all in your self-talk. That's all in how you talk to yourself, whether that be through verbally or through mentally and stuff, whether that's just be through your thoughts or words that you actually put into that comes out of your mouth. And then, I mean, it just, another aspect as you're building up yourself, your self-image is I want you to definitely move beyond your limiting beliefs. And what a limiting belief is nothing more than a self-imposed restriction. Anybody that tells me all the time is like, oh, I'm so stupid. Well, that's a limiting belief, and that's a horrible self-imposed restriction. The more value the more value you see in yourself, the more value you're going to be able to add to others. And this is truly where you step out, you step into that role with working within those that are close to you, whether that be friends and family, those that, that are close to you professionally, customers, clientele, coworkers and stuff. And you truly start adding value into their lives. I want you to absolutely celebrate the small victories. I get amazed at how many people will lose the motivation, will lose enthusiasm, will lose motivation and stuff. And and the reason is they never took the time to celebrate the small victories. And then the key element here, one of the key elements. Oh, you know what? Let's get into the practicing the one word strategy. And what that one word strategy is if you could pick one word to describe yourself, what would it be? And, a lot of times when I ask people that one word that they tell me, that tells me a lot of insight of either, sometimes where they're at in their life, but more than likely it's where they want to go with their life. And then the key elements for protecting your self-image is taking responsibility for your life. And for some people, that's a very scary aspect because at that point, what you're going to realize is when you take responsibility for your life, nobody else can make you feel bad. Nobody else can make you feel less than anything of what your self-worth truly is because you are taking responsibility 110% for your own personal life. The law of reflection. Now, in the law of reflection, you're going to learn how to pause, allow growth to catch up with you. And I love the fact that we're doing this training here in December of 2016 because a lot of people, they have either started working on their 2017 projections of what they want to take with their business, or they're starting to kind of get into that mode. And hopefully they're getting all their 2017 kind of projections and their goals, set so that they can hit January 1 with full, their full intention as opposed to hitting January 1 with, well, let's look at the year past and see where we're at and stuff. So, in the law of reflections, I want you to take a look at some of your personal awareness questions. And I mean, it's one of those, it's really easy to look at all the good, but also you want to look at some kind of where some of your biggest growth was at. And sometimes your biggest growth is, and where things were kind of, not so great stuff. So, I mean, definitely you want to look at what was your highest high this last year? What was your lowest low? And when you look at your highest high, it's like, okay, how do we keep that momentum going? When you're at your lowest low, it's like, how did we grow and build out of that? I mean, definitely look at what is your worst habit? What is your best habit? And then absolutely, it's like, what do you feel is most fulfilling to you? I mean, it is like, once you realize what's most fulfilling to you, it's going to really help you go back into that law that we were talking about of, what you're due, you know what you want to do and you do it. So the law of consistency, as I said, if you're on this training, more than likely you're an influencer, you're a business leader, you're somebody, you're somebody that's connected within your community, because I mean that's the for our training company, that's the clientele that we go after and stuff. And so if you're in one of those positions, more than likely we have all experienced that going to a training or going to a seminar or going to a workshop or going to a retreat or something of that aspect where we come out of it and our motivation is absolutely through the roof. And we come out of that, we're knocking home runs left and right. We all of a sudden became the golden child. And the tough thing is then after about 2-3 weeks, maybe 25, 30 days, all of a sudden, we're not hitting home runs anymore. We're hitting, singles and doubles. And then all of a sudden, we're kind of hitting some singles and we start striking out. And what, the problem is, we fall into the trap of, we're not following the law of consistency. And that law of consistency basically states that motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. It's one of the reasons why I love so much the mastermind concepts or the group training concepts or coaching concepts is because, the motivation will get you up and going. But unless you have some sort of discipline in place, unless you have some sort of accountability partner or somebody that's going to hold you accountable, that's not going to be your best friend, is going to actually be the tough guy when the tough guy or tough gal when they need to be, That's going to be the discipline that keeps you growing. So, I mean, in order to do that, you have to look into what areas do you need to improve? How do how do you know how you're supposed to improve? Do you know why you want to keep improving? And, do you know when you are supposed to improve? The law of the environment. Now, I'm going to upset a few people on this one, but I'm going to come at you. I'm going to come at you real. Growth thrives in conductive surroundings. How many of us have either experience in a personal life situation or professional life situation where we have somebody around us that we just absolutely cannot stand to be near or around? You see the person's call you on the phone, you see their name flash across, and you can't stand, you just, you know that your day just went down the toilet. Well, what you're doing is you're allowing a particular person, you're allowing something into your environment to actually kind of bring your growth level down. If not killing your growth level, or shutting down your growth level. So in this aspect, you have to be very careful, you have to be very conscientious and very aware of who you bring into your personal, your personal surroundings and stuff. I was actually, listening in on a training this morning as I was getting kind of, part of what my ritual is, my morning ritual stuff is, normally it is, I'll just utilize the news just to kind of, so I can kind of catch up or see if there's anything I can follow, a reason I can follow up with somebody. But I let it go through just one cycle, because if you notice, like, the news will continuously go through this, this news cycle, unless something really, really big or major happens. And then, kind of like the 9/11 attacks. And then that's what the focus of the news is for the entire morning. So I'll literally watch it just for what I call that one cycle and stuff. And then I jump over to YouTube, and there's a handful of different YouTube channels that I subscribe to and stuff. And so, I mean, that's kind of my morning routine is, as I'm getting ready and getting going for the day, is I'll have that playing so that I can kind of get some good mojo going for my day and stuff. And, it was one of the shows this morning. It was actually a husband and wife team, and they're talking about how to work together. And the wife was like, I'm consciously and always aware of who is around myself and my family, because my husband is a racehorse. He is a thoroughbred, and I don't want anybody taking him out. That's how you have to view yourself. You are absolute thoroughbred and racehorse within your own personal life and your own professional life. And so you really want to be conscious and aware of what type of activities you're allowing around it, what type of people you're allowing around it. The law of design. To maximize growth, you have to develop strategies. Now, this is really cool because, especially as we're in the tail end of 2016 going into 2017, a lot of us, how we put together our goals and our projections for next year is, we need to design how we're going to achieve those goals and those objectives. So I want to look at this, and it's like, okay, what is important to us? What are the priorities? If I could pick my top 3 things to improve upon in the next 90 days, what would those 3 things be? Or if I could pick the top 3 things for the next 6 months, what would those 3 things be? How do you measure that? It is when I'm working with somebody one-on-one, when I'm working with with one of my coaching clients and stuff, what I'm looking for is, how do we measure our successes? A lot of times somebody will work with somebody for helping them take their income to the next level. And if somebody tells me my whole goal is purely just to make more money, I don't allow that, because, ultimately it's like, I want to quantify that. I mean, because if you think about it, if all I want to do is just purely just make more money, well, great. If I could help you make $1 extra next year than you made this year, we've achieved that goal. By you making only $1 extra, is that significant for you? Is that going to really, truly help you? Probably not. So I want you to put measurements on there. And how do you make sure that you put something in place that you're going to stay consistently focused on what you want to do as what you're designing for your growth plan? The law of pain. This is where we get back into some of those tough conversations and stuff. The good management of bad experiences leads to some of the greatest growth. It is, if you look back on some of our most trying times, You look back into those moments where you absolutely had to make a decision. You had to make a choice. You had to get into movement. You had to. It was a life or freaking death. If you stayed where you were at, it was going, the only solution was going to be pretty much death. You had to you had to make a change. The really good thing about those experiences is that's where your best growth comes from. It is, earlier this year, I used to always hate it when people talk about what everybody coins the term, especially all these politicians, of quote unquote, the Great Recession. I hated that terminology because for those of us that went through it, there was nothing great about it. Myself personally, it's like there were times where literally I felt like I to hell with keeping my head above water. I was keeping only my nose above water. I know friends that lost their homes. I know friends that, were literally, borderline homeless, which basically meant that they were crashing on a friend's couch for a week or two, then crashing on somebody else's. It was not a pleasant time. It was a sucky time, to say the least. But the only great, and I was on a webinar training earlier this year, and I made the comment, it's like, I hate when people say this is great. There's nothing great about it. And that's when it dawned on me. The only thing great about it was we all learned, for those of us that survived it and came out of it, we all learned what it truly meant to be a business owner. We all learned what it truly meant, how to watch those numbers and how to watch the trends and try to predict what was, trying to make sure that we were on our A game. So the lesson we learned out of that was truly a great lesson. Unfortunately, it was a really crappy experience and it was a hard lesson to learn. The law of the ladder, we're going to get into a little bit about your character. And what you're going to discover is your character growth determines the height of your personal growth. Now, we have the rungs of our character ladder, which basically is, being better, being better on the inside more than on the outside, following the golden rule. That you'll teach only what you believe. You'll value humility above all virtues, and you'll always strive to finish well. There's 5 core rungs on your character ladder here. And if you look at it, if you were missing one of those rungs, we'll say, if you were missing the rung, I will teach only what I believe. Passion matters. Now, what this to me, what this equates to in the business world is somebody that's, involved in their product or the service that they provide, they truly don't believe is really great. And have we all experienced that before where, the product or service somebody provides, they really truly are not sold on it themselves. They really truly are not convinced it's the best thing out there for the world for themselves. We all can kind of feel that. And so, if you think about it, if I'm missing 1 out of 5, that takes me from 100% down to 80%. My background in the public education system, that's still a passing grade. But when you get into your life system or your business system, that 80% is no longer a passing grade. Now that's a mediocre grade and stuff. So, if you really want an exceptional life, if you really want exceptional business, you really have to look into, am I on board with all 5 of these rungs is with my character ladder. The law of the rubber band. Growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. It's one of those aspects in the business world we're always talking on is if you're never growing, you're going stagnant. And if you're going stagnant, you're going to die. As I look out the windows here and stuff, and I see a whole bunch of trees. And the funny thing is the one thing about a tree is it is either in a consistent cycle of growing, or B, it's dying, or C, it's dead. Those are the three options. And you have to look at that in your own life, your personal life and your professional life. Are you in a consistent cycle where you're growing so that as you're stretching to the new level, as you're getting yourself up to that new bracket, that new income bracket or that new position bracket within your company? Are you looking at the next one? Are you looking at how do you stretch and how do you get yourself to that next level? Or are you kind of sitting there and you're coasting, you're like sitting there going, hey, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I think I'm good. So, and I want you to understand that there are some downfalls to stretching. Stretching will set you apart from others. The ironic thing is people that were friends of mine 10 years ago, So, a handful of them I'm still good friends with, and we hang out today. There's a handful of people that I thought were really good for, 10 years ago, they were very good friends of mine. But because of we've stretched into different areas of our life, we never connect. Now, if I had one of these individuals that comes to the top of my mind, I won't name him obviously, but if I was to run into him out at the mall, or out shopping, or at a restaurant, something like that, would I still love on him? Would I still would I still open him with open arms? Absolutely. But where we're at in our lives, both personally and professionally, are in such different avenues. We have such different values and goals now. It's not somebody that actively seek out to bring into my life and stuff. So, I do want to warn you in that aspect of, sometimes as you grow and as you stretch yourself, be aware of those that are trying to bring you back down. The law of trade-offs. That's another little tough law. I want you to understand that when, you have to give up to grow up. Every time you say yes to something, you're basically saying no to something else. And I really want that to sink in. I really want you to realize that and think about that. Because every time that you say yes to a particular activity, or every time you say yes to a particular, something, you're in a sense saying no to something else. A lot of times I'll kind of harp on people. It's like, okay, we'll talk about TV, or somebody tells me they have no time. Well, we are all allocated the exact same amount of time in the course of the day. And if you really look at it, I mean, this is why I honor people, this is why I'm so conscientious of my time, because I truly understand that time is not a lot of people says, well, time is just, time is the commodity you can never replace. And while that is true, anytime that I share time with somebody, I realize that it's a very truly a special gift. And the reason being is because that time that is spent with somebody can never be replaced. And so I'm very conscientious of who I spend my time with, because I realize when I'm saying yes to somebody or something, I'm in a sense saying no to something else. So, I mean, it is, if you're saying yes to going with your buddies to happy hour, something of that aspect, then you're saying no to spending time with your family. You're saying no to spending time of growing your business or getting it to the next level. So really want you to kind of, keep that in mind as you're looking at, as you're having requests put on you for within your life. The law of curiosity. Now, this is a fun law. If you think back, we're going to go back into that, where you don't know what the type of person that does not know what they want to do. Well, the cool thing is when somebody is in that aspect, they truly understand what is called the law of curiosity, which is growth is stimulated by asking why. Very good friends of mine, their son is, I called him 11 years old 2 days ago. I actually just remembered he's actually 12 years old and stuff. And met with, spent time with them, and for Thanksgiving, it was a great celebration. And the thing that I love, especially about kids, is they understand the law of curiosity, and they approach learning with such a passion because of that curiosity sense that's just naturally built inside of us. And unfortunately, somewhere along through the course of high school or college, or as we're into our working years and stuff, we start losing that law of curiosity. And I always find that very saddening. And the reason being is because if you think about it, let's look at the last time you took on something really new or really exciting. And, maybe a new position at work, or maybe going into a new industry, something of that aspect. And how much fun were you having every day showing up and giving, and working at it or giving it all? And the reason is because of you had that law of curiosity came back into you. That law of curiosity is inside of us. It never goes away. It's always inside of us. But, as a lot of times we just, a lot of people will try to suppress it and they'll try to push it down as opposed to enjoying it and relishing in it. So I want you to look at your life personally or professionally and see where would you want to grow into, and see how you can use the law of curiosity to help you grow into that aspect. The law of modeling. It's hard to improve when you have no one but yourself to follow. Now, we talk a lot about mentors. You hear me talk about mentors, you hear me talk about coaches. want you to understand, there are people that have been mentors to me that I have personally have never met. Take some of the great business leaders out there, people like Zig Ziglar, Les Brown. We'll take some of those aspects. People that I've never personally met, but I've gone to their trainings. I watch their YouTube, their YouTube, they have presentations on YouTube. I'll read their books. There's also mentors out there that, coaches that I pay to be around, and that's okay. It is because these people are going to help me stretch. They're not going to let me play my little game and stuff. They want me to play the big boy game. And then there's also those mentors like our parents. I know that when I was in the position of a step parent, so often I looked at, my mentor who was, technically speaking, my stepdad, but ultimately, this was the only father figure I ever had in my life. This is the man that raised me. And I always looked back at, how he raised me as a child. And I looked at that as a mentor. And, on certain occasions, I would even reach out to him and say, this is what's going on. And he was always so quick to kind of chuckle and say, yeah, it kind of reminds me of back when you were 16 years old and you did blah, 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 blah. So I want you to look at this list and really kind of look into it. It's like, okay, who do I want as a mentor? Who is a worthy example of a mentor? And you really truly look at, in this aspect of choosing who you have as a mentor wisely. The law of expansion. The cool thing about the law of expansion is growth always increases your capacity. And the two big aspects in this particular law is how to increase your thinking capacity. And when you've increased your thinking capacity, I don't know why, it's one of those, it's kind of one of those phenomena that happens within our lives. But once we increase our thinking capacity, we increase our action capacity. It's like, it's almost like one of those, everything first starts off in our mind. And we have to, as a good friend of mine out in Jacksonville, Florida says, like, if the coconut's not working, as he points to his head, nothing else in the world matters and stuff. And it's so, so true. So I want you to always kind of be aware of the law of expansion. It's like how you increase your thinking capacity. By increasing your thinking capacity, that's going to increase your capacity for action. And when your action capacities increase, whatever's on your growth plan, whether it be personally, professionally, or a combination of the two, you will definitely see growth and improvement in. The law of contribution. So we're getting towards the end here and stuff. And it's funny. If you go back in time, if you go back to my younger self, this law would have meant nothing to me. And I'm not sure the age brackets of everybody in here and stuff, but, as I get, and I'm not saying that I'm an old guy by any stretch of the mean. I still have several, many good years left on the body here and stuff, several good decades left and stuff. But it's one of those I've discovered, as I'm hitting, it's one of those aspects that's like that I've discovered both personally and professionally is there is that law of contribution. And, you want to grow yourself. Growing yourself enables you to grow others. And kind of where I noticed this most is as I started looking at some really great leaders that I wanted to model myself after. And I looked back at the great leaders that I had in the military when I was in the Army. I looked back at some of the great leaders I had when I was in corporate America, before I stepped onto my own with my own companies. And I look at how I model myself with other company, leaders and other individuals that I look at that have taken, that have taken their businesses to the next level. And a common thread that I see is, well, a great leader is, on one aspect, they're always looking ahead to how do they grow themselves? How do they stretch themselves to that next position? But they're always looking back and they're seeing, who do I grab a hold of? Who do I take with me? Who do I help grow with me? And for me, that's where the law of contribution really, truly comes into place here, is learning how to grow yourself so that you can grow others. And then, the biggest aspect is you'll discover is, when you keep growing, is to keep giving. So with that wraps up, that's kind of our Cliff Notes version of the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Now, I want to go take a moment here to kind of introduce you to a mastermind group that we're going to be starting up, kind of covering this particular book in a lot more in depth. Now, some people don't understand the concept of a mastermind is. Some people don't understand what the concept of a mastermind is. But I want you to think about, okay, who is your mastermind intended for? Well, this mastermind is really intended for anybody that's in a leadership position or wants to be in a leadership position. Anybody that's looking to grow themselves or their teams. People that provide, this masterminds can be perfect for those that provide a professional service to the public. So if you are in sales, or if you're in marketing, or if you are a professional service, kind of like yesterday, I was talking to a room full of attorneys and CPAs. Anybody that interfaces with the public for their either their own company or for the company that they work for. Really, anybody that's looking to make a significant change in their personal or their professional lives. Anybody that's flat out is looking to improve their business, this is going to be a great mastermind group for you. And I was talking with a friend of mine that he told me that he was losing his inner drive and stuff. And I realized that also this mastermind is great for anybody looking for their inner hunger, or, what they want to do or what they need to drive to do to get themselves out of what we refer to as, quote unquote, that rut. So this mastermind is actually 8 weeks. We're starting Wednesday, January 4th, 2017. You see the 3 different time slots and stuff there. Each session is going to be roughly anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. Now, the cool thing is because of technology, we're able to meet virtually. So what this means is we don't all have to agree that we're going to meet at a particular conference room or something of that aspect. It really just makes it easier that way for everybody to meet up and everybody to get together. Spots for each group are limited. So if you see one of those spots that are kind of reaching out to you, I definitely recommend jumping on board and getting registered up as fast as possible. And the reason being is because I want to keep the masterminds small enough to where we're intimate, small enough to where we connect. And the thing I don't want to have them do is have them so huge and so large where I've seen other groups and stuff do through their virtual trainings to where people can start hiding out in that aspect. Sessions will be recorded and provided to the participants, as once again, as long as technology permits, as long as technology works. It always seems like Murphy's Law kind of comes into effect, and every time that I always bring that up, we've never had a recording problem. I'm pretty sure the one time I forget to bring that up is probably when the recording will fail for us. So once, your mastermind leadership team, once again, myself, I am as a member of the John Maxwell team as a speaker, trainer, and coach. And the cool thing is I've actually been getting trained by one of my mentors, somebody that I first followed from a distance. And now anybody that's been to a John Maxwell training, you hear one of John's favorite sayings is, "My name is John and I'm your friend." Well, I'm very honored and proud to be able to say I have a friend. His name is John. So, anybody that, as I tell people, it's like, when you research John Maxwell, you see that he is basically the top level leadership expert in corporate America. So if you were to hire me personally for 8 sessions, in all honesty, it would be just under $1,800 and it would be worth every single penny of it. If you were to hire John personally for 8 sessions, it would be, I don't know, but I'm going to say a lot. I don't know exactly what his speaking fee is, but I'm going to assume some of the clientele, some of the corporates that he has on his own personal clientele list, I'm going to say it would be a lot. So, as we talked about, it's going to be 8 weeks of one-on-one mastery mind interaction. We're going to have our own private Facebook group, so that way we can interact with each other on top of that, that once a week. We're going to have question and answer periods for all the sessions. That's kind of where I say it's like that buffers in that 60 to 90 minutes. I mean, it all depends on how many questions and, stuff. You're going to get exceptional leadership training, and we're going to record all the calls for your group. And as always, we always offer 100% money back guarantee. So your investment for this mastermind is, well, not a lot. Not even the $1,800 if you were to hire me to work with you one-on-one for 8 weeks straight. The investment for the mastermind is $199 plus the book that you can purchase from us or Amazon or a local bookstore. We've actually even got a link on our website to Amazon for because most people have Amazon Prime. We all love it and stuff. So that you can get your book and stuff. On top of that, we will also email you our workbook and stuff. Some people ask, well, why don't you include the book with the $199? And the reason being is some people already have the book. Some people like the paperback book. Some people like the hardback book. Some people like it on Kindle. So I figure I would make it really easy and do the $199 plus the book. Just like my real estate business and coaching business, I back up all my actions with my performance guarantee. And that performance guarantee is within 30 calendar days of our last mastermind session. If you have done the work and you've attended each session and you complete and you show that you've done all the homework and action steps and weekly commitments. And if you feel this mastermind was not worth every single penny, I absolutely will refund you the full amount and you get to keep the content. That's what our 100% money back guarantee is. So for those of you ready to take action now, for those of you ready to join now, especially if you're kind of looking at one of those particular time slots and stuff within the one of those time slots for, there's a specific time slot you want to be in, and keep in mind those are all Pacific Standard Times, all Seattle, West Coast times and stuff. Just jump over to gregttraining.com. Click on the mastermind groups, and then you'll look for the should be the top one and stuff will be our 15 valuable laws of group and 15 valuable laws of growth, and click the buy it now. And as always, you know that you're protected by that money back guarantee. For those of you that wish that you would have had somebody on your team possibly to also, be in this training and stuff, you will also see a link in there for our free trainings and stuff. We actually have 3 more of these next week, so on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday next week. We're gonna have 3 more of these sessions so that you can share with your group or your group and stuff, or somebody that you know that you wish you would have had on board with us here. So with that, I'm going to try to back out of this without blanking out everybody's screen so I can look and see what questions we have had come up, if any. So with that, bear in mind, as we're seeing everybody's questions or zigzagging in and stuff. All right, so I don't see any questions that have been coming up and stuff. So let me hit stop sharing and stuff, so that way we're not, so everybody's not seeing their screens going crazy and stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it into our questions box. Other than that, thank you for honoring me and honoring me with spending an hour with me and stuff. I absolutely am glad that we stayed within that time frame, as I always want to honor and respect your time. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to connect with us either through LinkedIn or Facebook or any of our social medias. Feel free to email me at greg@gregttrainings.com. So any questions that coming in, just double check my 2 sides here. Nope, does not look like it. So with that, I thank you very much for joining us. If you know of anybody that you wish that would have been on today's training right alongside with you, have them jump over to our website. You'll see all of our free trainings that are coming up. They're all buttoned in and stuff, so you can easily just one-click register, or, you can click in to register for our trainings and stuff. So with that, I thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I absolutely wish you guys to have a wonderful day, and I look forward to the next time we see each other.